Everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave, the host of the Dark Stuff channel here on YouTube. Thank you so much for checking out my latest video. As always, it is much appreciated. Folks, in this week's video, I am reviewing this. Hüsker Dü, the 1985, The Miracle Year, the brand new box set from the Numero Group. It has just come out. Let's dive in. Before we actually start on the box set, let's just briefly describe sort of how we got here. So about 4 or 5 months ago, Numero Group, a reissue record label, came out and sort of teased a little live Hüsker Dü record that they were working on, and they put 5 live recordings from one particular show that Hüsker Dü did in January '85 in Minneapolis at First Avenue up on the streamers. And they took orders for a t-shirt. It was the New Day Rising release show, and so they took orders for a Hüsker Dü t-shirt, which was this. Okay. Had the New Day Rising dates on the back of it and everything. Now, for those of you that don't know, I also work in radio, and I've been on the air over 20 years with a show called New Day Rising. Okay. Now, with New Day Rising, I hope I pointed the right way. I don't know exactly how this stuff works. It should be over here. Anyway, I don't know. Anyways, so obviously I'm a big Hüsker Dü fan and look forward to any Hüsker Dü related stuff coming out. I have been a fan since the late 1980s. I never got to see Hüsker Dü actually play, but I've seen Bob, I've seen Grant, I've seen Greg, all solo, and have been a massive tape collector of the Hüsker Dü era, and I have lots and lots of live recordings from all over throughout their career. Since the early 90s, I've been able to meet all 3 members of Hüsker Dü. I did a long-form interview with Grant Hart just maybe 2 years before he passed away. That'll be linked below. I've met Bob a number of times just as a fan, just casually. And more recently, just a couple years ago, I was able to meet and talk with Greg Norton when he came through with one of his various bands that he was playing with. For the longest time, one of my good friends from college was also a friend of Grant Hart's. And so I kind of had a little inside track to information on Grant. I would always kind of know what he was working on and know he's doing this, he's doing that, you know. I was able to meet him a number of times because of that. Hung out a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say we became friends. You know, I picked him up at the airport one time when he flew in for a show. But I always felt like I had a little inside track with Grant, and I haven't had that for 8 or 9 years, ever since he passed away. So, for example, when the Savage Young Dü box set was coming out years ago, I kind of knew a little bit about what was going on, and I knew that it was coming out and what kind of stuff could potentially be on there and that kind of thing. In this case, I had no such inside information. Like I alluded to, Numero Group made an announcement about 4 months ago. I made a video on it, touting how amazing I thought this was, telling everyone I ordered the shirt, sign up, get your name on the mailing list for whenever they take orders for whatever this thing is going to be, okay? And then they had another announcement with a couple more songs. And then they had another announcement with a couple more songs. And I have to admit, I did start to question the strategy of Numero Group of just putting 5 songs out at a time and saying, you know, teasing people with that. 5 Hüsker Dü songs from 1985 is maybe 12 minutes. Okay, so you're not talking about a tremendous amount of music, and you're not giving anyone any details about anything. But I think it was maybe the 3rd announcement where they finally changed it up and said, no, this is what we're doing. And they made the announcement about this box set. Numero Group number 250, 1985, The Miracle Year. I bought the Numero exclusive, okay, which came with the t-shirt and this variant of the vinyl, the blue and white sort of swirl vinyl. Now, I'm not big on the variants and the colors and all that stuff, so that part didn't matter to me. I just wanted to make sure I got it. I wanted the t-shirt. I used to have a Hüsker Dü t-shirt just like that, and an old roommate stole it from me. And so I wanted the t-shirt. I wanted whatever goodies were coming with. I was hoping there'd be like a bonus disc or something like they did with Savage Young Dü. No, there was no bonus disc. Now let's try and show you what is actually in the box set, right? So, okay, this is the first record. It's known as the Minnesota Miracle. This concert is all 4 sides, is the January 30th, 1985 show from Hüsker Dü at First Avenue. Now, in the previous video, I wondered, because I knew that Hüsker Dü played 2 shows that night, and I kind of wondered which this was coming from. Was it the early show? Was it the late show? Was it a combination of the two? That question is answered in the liner notes, by the way. It is the later show. Okay, so they didn't record the early show. They recorded the later show with a 24-track mobile studio and new detail. I found out they had a 3-man camera crew filming the concert for a potential home video that never came out. Obviously, the live album never came out either, but the detail about the video was new. So here's record number 1. Great gatefold. Amazing. An amazing, custom labels there. The blue and white swirl, of course. The records do sound quite good. Okay, so record 1 is the Minnesota Miracle, and then this record number 2 is More Miracles. Okay, so it is the rest of the 1985 year. So it's culled from not just one show, but from a number of different shows. And they outline which ones are which in there. This is interesting. This is just their accounting, like how much money they were paid for playing, how much money they spent on gas, how much money they did whatever. I thought that was really cool as a cover art. Same color record on that one. Comes in a super nice hard case, just like the last one. And it's really well put together. It looks awesome. The artwork is great. And the booklet, holy shit. I'm going to do my best to represent the pictures in some of the pictures in the book, but I will just say, because I'm not going to read the whole thing right now here for you. I have read the booklet, but it details the entire year of 1985 and does a really great thing in that it actually goes through their calendar and shows you what they were doing on each particular day. Like certain days, they're recording this, and then they're going here to do that. They're filming the music video for this song, and then they're going over to Europe, and then they're flying back, and then they're doing 2 weeks of dates over here. And it's super detailed, very, very thorough. And then it also says, of course, at the end, the liner notes and what shows each particular track came from. So, example, some of them were from Salt Lake City, some of them were from Columbia, Missouri, stuff like that. I mean, it's just a beautiful book. Lots and lots of amazing photos. The book's liner notes were actually written by Bob Mayer. Bob Mayer, probably as the official Replacements biographer. Like, he wrote the book Trouble Boys, and he had done all the liner notes in all of the Replacements box sets in the past. The current one that's going to be coming out shortly, the Let It Be box, he's not working on that one. He was working on this project instead. Liner notes, as you would expect from a Bob Mayer project, very, very well done. Okay, extremely thorough, lots of interviews. I don't know, he couldn't have interviewed Grant Hart, but I'm assuming the Bob and the Greg are sort of new, and then Grant was pulled from previous interviews that he had done in the past. Either way, it is pulled together extremely well. It answers a lot of questions, including which show that the January one was. But I think what it really shows, and they address this in the book, is just the creative spurt that Hüsker Dü was on at this particular point in time. And this is where we'll talk about the music in the box set. But this show, okay, was January 30th, 1985. The New Day Rising album had just come out 2 weeks earlier. This was the actual release show, hometown celebratory release show for New Day Rising. Zen Arcade, their double album, their international breakthrough, had just come out 6 months before. Okay, so here we are 6 months later, brand new album. Now, during that set that they play, a release show for New Day Rising, they play a lot of New Day Rising stuff. They only play 2 songs from Zen Arcade. That's just one album back. And they play 5 or 6 songs from a future record, which we know will be Flip Your Wig, which they don't record for 9 months from this particular point in time. So it is insane. They come on and do a set of brand new songs that just came out on their new album, plus almost the half or more of the record that's going to be a future album in the future, and then the album that just preceded it, they barely play, like 2 songs. It's just their lightning pace of progress. I mean, the way that they moved was just kind of crazy. I mean, because they opened the set, New Day Rising, It's Not Funny Anymore, that's an older song. Everything Falls Apart, older song. Girl Who Lives on Heaven Hill, I Apologize, If I Told You, Folklore. And those are all from New Day Rising. Then they start playing all this new stuff. Everything Makes No Sense at All. Hate Paper Doll, Green Eyes, Divide and Conquer. Those were all unreleased. They wouldn't come out for months from this point in time. The sound quality is amazing. The best live recordings from Hüsker Dü that I've ever heard. The Living End was good. Those are culled from soundboard recordings, and it was good. Tonight at Longhorn is decent. But I mean, this is the definitive live record from Hüsker Dü, in my opinion. The performance, some of them, I would say, especially when they do Out on a Limb, which is from Metal Circus, smoking. It's just fucking phenomenal. All the guys in the band, Bob, Grant, Greg, were just on fire in this performance, okay? And they just knocked it out of the park. And you see just how amazing all three of them were as players. This is the bigger sound that people who kind of don't like the Hüsker Dü sound or don't like the recorded output and can't really embrace it kind of wish they had, because their records were very, very thin, and this you feel like a fuller sound. So I think it might be appealing to some people who maybe have thought, like, I don't know, I just can't embrace Hüsker Dü's music. It just doesn't work for me. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why. I just can't embrace it. I think you should get past it. Production is what it is. I mean, you can't do anything about it now. But I understand. I mean, I'm not completely oblivious to some of the faults of the Hüsker Dü records, the way they sound, not the music. They close with cover songs. Helter Skelter, great version of it from the Beatles, of course, and then Ticket to Ride, another Beatles song that they used to do, and then Love Is All Around, which was the Mary Tyler Moore theme that they did in the video. After the video for Makes No Sense at All, they put that on there too. So the second full-length album is also a live album. It is culled from various shows throughout 1985. So most of the shows throughout the rest of 1985, at some point, Flip Your Wig, their new studio album, comes out in about the middle of the year. So they're touring now on that. And while they're playing their brand new album, Flip Your Wig, they've already forgotten practically New Day Rising. They've definitely forgotten Zen Arcade. And now they're moving on and they're playing future stuff from what would ultimately be Candy Apple Grey, which was another forthcoming album. And they hadn't even signed their record deal at this point. Because I found out another little tidbit in the liner notes that was really interesting was that the woman who signed Hüsker Dü to Warner Brothers had been courting them for years, and they had made a decision that they were going to go with her and sign with Warner's. But they made Flip Your Wig, recorded it, finished it, and decided, even though she asked for it to come to Warner Brothers, and who knows how Hüsker Dü's history might have changed if that had happened, but they said no. Out of loyalty to SST, we're going to give them this final record, and then our next record will be with Warner Brothers. Now, I did a catalog ranking of Hüsker Dü a few years ago, and in it, spoiler alert, my number one album was Flip Your Wig. I think Bob and Grant both make comments in the liner notes saying that it's their best studio album. I've always thought it was their best studio album. I thought it was the fullest distillation of what Hüsker Dü could be, without... It's when Bob and Grant were still on the same page when they started fraying when they got into Warner Brothers, but that's another subject. It's not what I'm talking about right now. So this was just absolutely their peak period. So in the second concert, and then remember, these are all 1985, they're doing Don't Want to Know If You're Lonely, I Don't Know For Sure, Hardly Getting Over It, Sorry Somehow, Eiffel Tower High, all songs from Candy Apple Grey, all unreleased. They go What's Going On, so they're going a little backwards to Zen Arcade. Let's see here, Private Plane, that's Flip Your Wig, Celebrated Summer, All Work and No Play. Now that is a B-side. It was on a 12-inch for Don't Want to Know If You're Lonely. Came out as a 7-inch and an abridged version. This does not sound like the same recording. I think that must be from somewhere separate because there's this weird screaming in the middle of it that it doesn't sound like the version that I remember from my 12-inch, which is back in the record collection there. So that's an unreleased track. It's a non-album track. It has been released as a B-side though, but it's a good song. More stuff from Flip Your Wig, Keep Hanging On, Find Me, Flexible Flyer. Then they asked for requests, and they end up doing Sunshine Superman and In a Free Land, which are some older tracks. Flip Your Wig, Never Talking to You Again, the most aggressive version of Never Talking to You Again I've ever heard. Chartered Trips, The Wit and the Wisdom, and then the closing track Misty Modern Days. That is the major attraction of this collection. So Misty Modern Days is completely unreleased. Never been on any Hüsker Dü record before. But if you do trade in Hüsker Dü bootlegs and unreleased tracks and whatever, this song has come out before as an outtake from Candy Apple Grey. But it has always been there's a studio version, but it's instrumental. And my friend, who I referenced earlier in the video, who used to know Grant, had asked him one time, well, so is the song an instrumental? Are there vocals? And he said, no, they never did any vocals. Well, I think he must have misunderstood the answer to that question, because on this version, Misty Modern Days is a fully completed song with vocals, with lyrics, a vocal melody, whatever. So what I think maybe Grant meant when he said there's no vocals on the track was that they never recorded any vocals. They just recorded it as an instrumental, but obviously they had the song finished. So if you're looking for a brand new Hüsker Dü song that you've never heard, it's credited to Mould, Hart, and Greg Norton. It is Misty Modern Days, the song that closes out the entire collection here. So that isn't a gem that I don't think most Hüsker Dü fans had ever heard. I think it's completely new. I mean, this is the second Hüsker Dü box set that I bought from Numero Group, and I have to say, 100% satisfied. Okay, I love this thing. They have done a fantastic job. I cannot complain about a single thing. They kept you notified about when it was going to ship. They're doing a really good job. I mean, they're doing a really good job of keeping people informed and putting together a quality project. I'm wearing the t-shirt, as you can see. It's great to see Hüsker Dü finally getting all of this recognition again. It's so deserved. I mean, they were such pioneers, and they were inventors of 90s alternative rock, and yet it seemed like most of the time they don't seem to get a very much credit for that or much acknowledgement. It does seem like Bob Mould lately has been feeling pretty nostalgic. I mean, I just did a video on him a few months ago. I saw him on his most recent tour with his band, and he was playing Hüsker Dü songs, and he was playing his old solo stuff from like a long time ago, and it was really great to see how he integrated it in there. Now, at the time, I pointed out that it was weird that he didn't do any Sugar songs, his other band, and then we just got the announcement that Sugar is getting back together. They released a new song, and they're doing a couple of touring dates next year. But so I guess that was why they held back on the Sugar. But I'm totally cool with Bob being sort of nostalgic. I still love his brand new music, his last album. It was amazing. It's going to be in my top 20 this year. I do like Bob being more nostalgic and embracing his past, and he has some really complimentary things about Grant Hart in the liner notes, which I thought was fascinating. I mean, when he said that "Don't Want to Know If You're Lonely" and "Sorry Somehow" were two of Grant's best pop songs that he's ever written, true fact, right? But I had always been told that Bob was very jealous and angry that Warner Brothers picked those two songs as the singles when they went to Warner Brothers, and not a Bob song, which they did on Warehouse. Now, I don't know if that was true or not. Maybe that was just Grant's perception, because I think I read in an interview with him where he said something to that effect. I usually don't say that, box sets and collections and stuff are a good entry point to get into a band. But with Hüsker Dü, it's hard because some people just have such an aversion to their sound, some of the lo-fi stuff and some of the real thinness in the production. Now, like I stated earlier, I think you should be able to get past it, but if you can't for some reason, and you do think Hüsker Dü might be something that you would like to check out, I'm saying this is a decent place to start. That first concert from January 1985, that is peak Hüsker Dü. If you want to know where the band was at their absolute zenith, January 30th, 1985, that was it. Okay? Just a few months off Zen Arcade. Okay? New Day Rising is out. They've already written Flip Your Wig, their best album. And then just a few months later, they're already playing the one album after that, Candy Apple Grey, which was their last truly excellent album. Warehouse was good, but I don't think it was great. But anyways, that's a side note. Anyways, so this little period here, 1984 to 1986, was when they were at their absolute zenith. I've stated before, I think Hüsker Dü are the Beatles of punk rock, because they started at one spot and they ended completely unrecognizable by the end, and that end was just like 6 or 7 years later, and they covered all the ground, okay? Because there isn't anything that Hüsker Dü didn't cover in the world of, guitar rock and alternative guitar rock. They did everything. They had a guitar hero in Bob. They had 2 great songwriters. They had an incredible drummer, great bass player. They had, the DIY spirit. They forged so much. I mean, it's hard to say. So my review is supposed to be of just the box set, and it's aces, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, however you rank the system, it's worth whatever you have to pay for it. You're going to strain your eyes reading the little CD booklet, but if you have to get the CD booklet, get it, because it's worth it. Okay, stream it or whatever on Apple Music or whatever, just so you can get a taste of listening to it. It is fucking phenomenal. I am so beyond happy about the Hüsker Dü box set. I can't even tell you. It gets my 100% fullest recommendation. I hope there's more, and I hope it's not just 7 years from now. But again, for everyone involved in it, Bob, Greg, the Numero Group, Bob Mayer, excellent fucking work. Excellent. Phenomenal package. Hüsker Dü, 1985, the miracle year, 100% worth buying. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.